Hello, everyone. So, I have come to start going through some of the exhibits that are attached to Wayfarer's oppositions for spoliation sanctions. Today, I'm going to be doing Blake Lively, the opposition to Blake Lively, going through what is unsealed. If it's stuff that we have already seen somewhere else, I know one of the exhibits is the email from Jamie Heath saying that production was being shut down due to the strikes. We've seen that so many times in other in other filings that I feel like I don't need to do that again because it's been seen a lot. So these are more about probably the deposition transcript, and if there's anything new from the perspective of like an email or anything else, then I'll cover that. What I'll do either today if I've got time, like later today, or maybe tomorrow, is I will go through the exhibits that are attached to the opposition for Jones works. I think that's going to be really interesting because obviously that's where I think there's the argument, well, if Jen Abel was using Signal, Stephanie Jones would know about it because okay. Let's go through this. Now we've got Jamie Heath, a portion of his deposition transcript, starting at, these are quite short from what I've seen so far. It's going to start at page 163. And we may have covered some of this, but, it may be slightly different in that it contains different start and cut off points. So, I've decided to cover it anyway, just in case there is some differences. Okay, so page 163, Jamie Heath, and we are starting with the end of a question. Whether the conversations referenced only incidents that happened within the same 10-day or short period of time. And Heath, okay. I can't remember who the lawyer was on this. So, I can't remember the lawyer. So I'm just going to say counsel or question. So, question. Do you think that the fact that it kept being brought up over and over and over, at least on June 1st, in the November 17-point letter and in the January 2024 meeting, was an indication that perhaps, at least from Blake's perspective, whatever had happened before was not in fact resolved? And then Alexandra Shapiro is representing Jamie Heath. She objects. Heath. Again, I think there wasn't multiple ones. June 1st was the first conversation. There was the first conversation with Blake, right? Some thoughts had been shared. We had a conversation on June 1st. No other conversations about it. You're referencing the November 9th letter as if that's a conversation. But it was clear. I'm not trying to hide away from the language. In lieu of a HR complaint, we know that there's a lot of things that happened on set that involved a lot. There was a lot. We had a lot of strikes. We had COVID. We had issues, production. That had nothing to do with you and me bumping heads. But to say it and characterize that as it's coming up again, it was like, here's the protections that I need to make sure that I feel safe, as she put it, moving forward. It wasn't bringing back up the June 1st stuff. It was like, here's what I need moving forward. Here's some guidelines. We'd give this to anybody, but it wasn't a conversation about it. We did not think it was kept being brought up and brought up. This is contracts happen all the time of what they need to go on set. Here was one. The January 4th is what I would consider the second conversation, no matter how you want to frame the other. And that meeting with a Sony representative, the new Sony producer, myself, Justin, Alex Sachs, our other producer, no one felt that this was a nod to then. What do you do next? She wanted to express it. She said that she just wanted to clear the air after we talked about it. Then we talked about production. See you guys tomorrow. There was no indication that we were supposed to take another step. We thought the step was done. We talked about it. She got it off her, even though we disagreed. I still contend to this day that most of what she is saying, either all of it, either it's twisted or fabricated. She says I talked about my genitals. I still haven't heard anyone ask me. She said I had a porn addiction. No one has asked me where that came from as it pertains to me, but we talked about it. We were right or wrong, our belief at the time was that it was handled, it was discussed, and then we moved on. I'm sorry. And then, so it's Miss Shah, who's representing Blake Lively. So Miss Shah says, don't be sorry. Jamie says, can we take a break? Miss Shah says, absolutely. Why don't we take the lunch break? Miss Shapiro says, 45 minutes. Miss Shah says, we can go off the record, 40 minutes. Miss Shapiro says, 40 minutes is fine. So, and then the videographer then makes the point of saying, we are going off the record, and notes the time. Okay. Okay, so moving on. This is another deposition excerpt of Jamie Heath. Okay. Starting at page 290. Question. And you've given me a full scope of your memory about what was discussed in that 5 or 6 hours. So obviously talking about the January 4th, 2024 meeting at Blake Lively's penthouse. Ms. Shapiro, objection. The witness. So that's Jamie Heath. No, a lot of it was Ryan belittling Justin. So this is Ezra Hudson asking questions now. For 5 or 6 hours? Answer. A lot of it was. Question. And when you say belittling, what do you mean by that? Answer. When she first started reading a couple of her things and Justin was hearing this, taking this in, and trying to make sense of it, he was frozen by hearing this stuff. And instead of, let me not say instead of, and his reaction was that he was being a coward. That is what you do when a woman says this to you and points out these things. You just stand up and you just apologize and apologize. And Justin was just like, but I didn't do this. And then he raised his voice and used some language and insinuated that he was not a good guy. Question. That Mr. Baldoni was not a good guy? Answer. Yeah. Question. Yeah. Answer. And he did it very aggressively. He did it to me as well. More at him. It may have been the hardest thing I have ever witnessed someone talking to another person with such belittlement. Question. So after that meeting, did you have an understanding that there were things that were happening in connection with filming this movie that Miss Lively was uncomfortable with? Miss Shapiro. Objection. Heath. I understood that she had shared some things that did not make sense, and I believe were fabricated. Question. You believe were fabricated? Answer. Not all of them. Question. Answer. Either distorted, or fabricated. Question. Now, did you think that it would be a good idea to conduct an investigation at that point? And then Shapiro objects. Yeah, and that's the end of that excerpt. Okay, so now we've got deposition excerpt from Justin Baldoni. Okay, starting at page 328. This is Justin Baldoni kind of halfway through answering a question. In their circle, Hugh Jackman, Sean Levy, Taylor Swift. By that point, as I had testified earlier, I was essentially forced or threatened to step down off my film. I wasn't able to finish my own film, even considering it tested higher. Somehow, the actress of my movie, who was not a producer, was able to take complete control of the film. By this point, Ms. Lively had requested that my name be removed, so I had my "A Film By" credit removed. I was removed from the majority of marketing materials from the poster. I was being removed for the most from the trailer. I know that she had been working with Taylor Swift to make sure that she got the song she wanted in the film, and I had assumed that that was not a battle or a fight that I could ever win. All of the cast unfollowed me, which is a very public thing to do right before a movie comes out, all in unison. And at that time, I was being threatened via my agency that if I didn't release a statement, then the gloves would come off. Now, I don't know the exact sequence of the time in which I sent that text, but I will tell, and then it stops there. Okay, I think we did read that as part of the motion for summary judgment. And now we have a very quick text. It's just a single text from Justin Baldoni to Julie Walker. There are others in it, but they're redacted. This is dated the 22nd of February 2024. And Justin Baldoni is writing, if you have 5 minutes to meditate on another predicament. I love that their answer to problems is to meditate. That's a very peaceful way of kind of approaching things. Yeah, so if you have 5 minutes to meditate on another predicament, we got the call today that Blake won't promote the movie unless I let her into the edit with me. So, and that's obviously a contemporaneous note of what was happening in real time. That's strong evidence. Certainly in the UK, like that's considered strong evidence if someone has recorded, events, documented them in real time. So there we go. Okay, so now we've got another deposition excerpt from Jamie Heath. Heath, sorry. Danny then called me after the call with Patrick. He may have been on the call as Patrick as well. Danny. Sorry, that maybe the way they're talking or the way it's been taken down by the stenographer. But I'm going to just read that again. Sorry, Danny then called me after the call with Patrick. He may have been on the call as Patrick as well, Danny. I just don't recall. He called me shortly after the call and was going to read us a letter that the Reynolds, I guess I can refer to both of them as the Reynolds. I refer to them as the Livelies, had written, and I could not believe what was happening. So I recorded it because I wanted it documented. Miss Shah, what about the Heath? Not only documented, he was going to dictate to me a letter and I didn't have a hard copy of it, so I wanted to record it so that I could actually write it down and have it. Question, and what about the Sony marketing call? Shapiro objects. Heath, in the Sony call, we were planning how to navigate these two different premieres, the ins and outs about it, or whatever it was how it was going to look. And we had, from what I believed, a really good relationship with Sony, but it started feeling like there was, and while I understand they have to kind of pay middleman to whatever they think is going on or not, and then it stops, and that annoys me because I really want to know what the rest of that answer was. It sounds like, finally some information on Sony, which for me has been a big missing piece of the puzzle. Like, what the hell was Sony thinking and saying and doing in amongst all of this? Okay. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so now we've got a deposition excerpt from Steve Sarowitz. He's halfway through an answer on page 140. And there had also been some rumours that they were attacking the Baha'i faith. There is probably a lot more, but that's a good start. So he's up against Gottlieb. And if I remember, because we read some of this during the motion for summary judgment exhibit readings, and Sarowitz clamped back a fair amount at Gottlieb and really stood his ground with him, which I was here for. It is these guys are so accommodating, so trusting, so they're very placated and passive, and there was always this kind of I guess image portrayed of them, like that they let people just walk all over them all the time, and they're too nice. And whilst there may be a little element of they let things go too far, they do stand their ground. They do defend themselves and fight back when they really, really have to. And I absolutely loved seeing Gottlieb kind of really being put in his place. It was great. It was really great. And I saw Justin Baldoni as well got a little bit spicy in some of his deposition transcript. It was really great. Okay. So that was Gottlieb. Okay. Sarowitz. Oh, a couple of other things. They had locked our entire team, including myself, put, as you mentioned, that 30 million figure into the film, and they locked me completely out the premiere, along with Justin and Jamie and everyone else, and relegated us to the basement in a separate, and also not allowed us to be on the red carpet except in specified times. And I don't know if I mentioned this, isolated Justin from all the publicity. So he was not allowed to do publicity with anyone else, not allowed to be photographed with anyone else. And I guess probably, believe it or not, and fired. This is probably the things that bothered me the most, she actively fired our editors, our composer, and assistant producer, among others, and had removed Justin from the poster, and then removed what Justin had in his cut from her cut, which was released, the reference to, and then it cuts off. Right, so now we get confirmation. Yes, you did fire these people. This is absolutely insane. This is insane. This is people who have seen this video, but just for people who are kind of only just catching on to this case and may not have noticed it before, I wasn't going to go through these photos because we've seen them. They're even in the the Wayfarer's complaint, their initial complaint and everything. So we've seen these before, but this is just a fascinating fact for me anyway. A few months back, Justin Baldoni added Mitra Hurian to his legal team, and when we covered this, we noticed that it's hard from this angle to see, but this lady in black is Mitra Hurian. She was in the basement with them during the premiere, which is absolutely it's absolutely wild that even happened. Here is just going to share this. Here is Mitra Hurian. So yeah, just to go back to that picture though, this lady in black is Natasha Heath. To her left in the pink flowery dress. I don't know who's on the right. It looks like Emily Baldoni then is in the silver next to Justin. But the lady in black next between the woman in the red dress and Natasha Heath is one of the attorneys that Wayfarer have in their corner fighting for them. But I think it's absolutely fascinating that she was there. She was actually there and saw exactly what happened. So yeah, I just thought that would be like an interesting point. So this is another exhibit. And this is just like a news article, basically, where Wayfarer saying, that her backlash. This news article explains why she's got the backlash. That survivors of domestic abuse feel that the promotion was disrespectful. I'm not going to read it, but yeah, it just talks about that. Okay, so now they're obviously trying to show, I think, in part, some text messages that were going on. So this is a text message thread which has Jamie Heath, Jennifer Abel, Stephanie Jones, Justin Baldoni, and then there may be other people who are redacted, but okay. The date of these messages is the 10th of November. So this is the date after the return to production protections. Her 17-point protection letter. And then Justin Baldoni messages, "Hey, sorry for the last minute text. Need you both for a Zoom if you can shortly." Jamie Heath. And it begins again. Jen Abel. "Hey, Steph and I can call you and loop in Jamie." Stephanie Jones. "I can't Zoom, but can do conference call. Please don't use Zoom for any confidential conversations as there are lots of breaches there with program." Do you know, I just find that so rich. Stephanie Jones is talking about breach of confidentiality. Justin Baldoni. "Oh wow, I didn't know that." Yeah, then I don't know what the hell Stephanie Jones is sending. A sleeping bear? What? Jamie Heath. "I'll text you something now. Will it only go to you and not any assistants?" Jen. "Text me and Steph directly. Don't email the alias that has the full team." Jamie. And he looks like it's a message to Amin and Joseph, who were part of the Wayfarer legal team, from what I remember, or the HR team. And it's a message from Lindsay Strasberg, who was Blake Lively's lawyer, who drafted the 17-point demand. "Dear Amin and Joseph, with the tentative resolution of the SAG-AFTRA strike, we are writing to address how to handle a return to the set of It Ends With Us. It is no surprise to the film's producers that the experience of shooting the film has been deeply concerning on many levels. The complaints of our client and others have been repeatedly conveyed and well documented throughout pre-production and photography. While we reserve all legal rights, at this stage our client is willing to forego a more formal HR process in favour of everyone returning to work and finishing the film, as long as the set is safe moving forward." And that line there is actually quite important because, it expressly states she is willing to forego a more formal HR process, which would then remove any notion that she's even contemplating something more serious, such as litigation. It completely negates that. She says, "We're happy if, the set is safe and everyone's happy on the set," which they were, by Blake Lively's own admission. So I do not see how Blake Lively is even attempting to distort this message to Wayfarer as, well, you should have known we were going to be proceeding to litigation in some time in about a year and a half, because that line alone negates that. They complied with what she wanted. She wasn't even going to go to HR, never mind court. In order for our client to feel safe returning to the production, we are attaching a list of protections that will need to be guaranteed and observed by the film's producers. If the production is unwilling to accept or uphold these protections, our client is prepared to pursue her full legal rights and remedies. This letter is not intended to constitute a full statement of all facts and circumstances relating to this matter. It is not intended to be, nor should it be construed as a waiver, release, or relinquishment of any of our clients' rights, remedies, legal or equitable, all of which are hereby expressly reserved. And then it looks like Jamie Heath has attached the actual letter itself. Okay. So in text messages, it's quite clear Stephanie Jones was, very much kept in the loop for a start, and her only useful response was a ridiculous, childish, I don't know, GIF, picture. I don't know what that is. No wonder they want to cut ties with her. In this text thread, we have Jamie Heath, Jen Abel, Justin Baldoni, Katie Case, Brianna Butler Coslow, Melissa Nathan, Matthew Mitchell. Again, there may be people who are redacted, but I don't know. So the dates of these messages were the 2nd of February 2024. No, they weren't. My British eyes. They were the 2nd of August 2024. See, it's because where the 8 is, that would be the day for us, and then the 2 would be the month in UK. But Americans, you do it the other way around, so occasionally it trips me up. Okay, Katie Case. Hi all. As promised, sending our scenario planning document here before our call. Looking forward to discussing this in greater detail and to the group's thoughts and feedback. Thank you. Justin Baldoni, just read. Please note this is my 3rd film as director, not my 1st. Brianna Butler. Yes, apologies making that correction. Katie Case, correction made here. Looking forward to running through this in greater detail shortly. Justin Baldoni, hi guys, I'm running behind here. Can we meet in 30 minutes? Melissa Nathan, I'm so sorry. I personally have a call 11:45, so 15 minutes after we jump on. I can kick off the call and then everyone else can stay on if that's okay. And then if you want to call me later, I'm around all day just on my mobile. Jamie Heath, I'm in the Zoom link, but need to be let in. Melissa Nathan, we can start without Justin if that's okay. We jumped off the Zoom. Jen Abel, yes, let's do that. Jamie Heath, okay. Oh, gotcha. Jen Abel, I'm hopping on. Justin, you can join when you're ready. Justin Baldoni, that last surprise friend is just getting here who was delayed and I need to go get her. I'm sorry, these time differences are really hard for me with everything I'm managing here. And I feel him. Time differences are hard sometimes. Justin, can I get the Zoom link? And then Katie Case sends the Zoom link. Okay, so more messages. Between Justin Baldoni, Melissa Nathan, those are the only names that I can see that are not redacted. On the 19th of August 2024. Justin, this is not us, correct? Assuming the guy we brought in would never do this, and he's referring to Jed Wallace, because Jed Wallace has literally only just been brought on. And then he sends some links. Melissa, None of us would ever do this. Also, no one even pays any attention to this person past 2005. Here, I believe she is talking about Perez Hilton. I'm sure I have seen that somewhere quite a few times, actually. So, yeah. He is not relevant. He does not create a news headline. He does not get picked up. He is just now a troll. There is not one news outlet that would cover anything he said or take it seriously. I think as well there is a struggle where it's kind of maybe even unbelievable the way that people are turning against her, but they are organically. It's organic. She's blown herself up by her own actions. And then Melissa Nathan sends some links. That's actually the news article where Blake Lively used a slur that was offensive to transgender people. Melissa Nathan, this just ran. Obviously, none of us knew about this either, but once media goes in, they go in. And the best thing we can do right now is be quiet. Let's get through this week together, and then just move on and back to regular planning with Instagram posts and thoughtful ideas and messages. The content creators are on fire, and Justin, she has handed it to them all on a plate. So when Blake Lively accuses content creators of being part of retaliation to smear her and then subpoenas us all, this contemporaneous note here says actually she's given them, ample material to work with. And as a content creator, that's true. Melissa Nathan, just concentrate on the success of the movie, your family, and your next project. I have this weird feeling that she's going to reach out to you for a conversation in the next couple of weeks, or he will. And then she shares some more links and says, you did not do any of these. We did not do any of these. This is all organic. Justin says, crazy. Melissa says, stupid. Really stupid. And I cannot believe she didn't mention working with a shelter. Or DV, none of this is your fault. It's breathtaking how tone deaf it was. Justin, a good one to boost. And then he sends some links. And then Melissa, oh, that's so nice. I will send across to team. Okay, another message thread. Again, we may have gone through some of these before, but with the messages and the depositions in particular, I'll stick with it just in case there's something different. Emails are very much more obvious. Okay, so these messages are dated the 7th of August, 2024. Melissa Nathan, I'm just going to say one thing. This is a time to make a decision on social planning. Would rather be in the front, in the back, and it costs way more in the back. That's all I will say, and I hope that I am 100% wrong, but we just have to flag, that's my job. So yeah, Melissa Nathan to Jen Abel. Okay, Jen Abel. Do you think we need it from what you're seeing? Because we have also a planned response if needed, considering all of the interviews he is doing between now and Friday. Melissa, not the second, but it's one of those better safe than sorry. But from what I'm seeing, I don't think you need it this second, but I just want to be really, really aware. I'm an over planner because, socials. Jen, understand. We should get on a call with Jamie today. We will likely have a break around 11:30 ET. Melissa, from my friend at TMZ. Justin Baldoni tips hit in our email about his beef with Blake and Colleen Hoover. Jen, what are the tips? Melissa, I asked, that was my follow-up question. Jen, if we can kill before we do the Today Show. And she sends some emojis. Melissa, nothing to kill right now. Don't worry. Jen, phew. Thank God for you. Melissa, just to be aware. Oh God, famous last words, Jen. This might be a fight. but we will come through it well. That's all that matters. And she sends a screenshot of Melissa Nathan sends a screenshot of the message that she has had. Tip: how are you guys not covering the beef between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and Colleen Hoover? It's starting to show up all over TikTok that there's drama between them all. Also, they unfollowed each other. I read that. Jen: it's all fan speculation because he was in Sweden and then as a director did press separately. And then just say they never fucking followed. Lol. I hate everyone. Melissa: same. Blake Lively Vogue cover just dropped. Reading. Jen: I read it. It's fine. Barely anything about the movie. The entire thing is meaningless fluff. And then the next message is redacted as non-responsive. Melissa: she finishes the cookie and brushes off the crumbs. Her ear jewelry sparkles in the light. Melissa: we can't change that headline. It's not a place that would. It's clickbait and it's reporting on what happened, which did happen. We need to concentrate on the big media and socials, but monitor that article heavily. Jen: okay, copy. I think we really need to put the social combat plan then into motion. Melissa: so do I. We are heavily monitoring, trust me, and we have our friendlies updating us as well. Jen: can you call Jamie and get the green light? Free light. And then she says green light. Melissa: yes. Jen: sorry, we are back in press. And then she sends a bunch of, Melissa Nathan sends a load of links to various articles, which I'm not going to read. Just checking, that's all there is. Like, there's a lot. Jen: your sister is calling me. Melissa: I'm like, question mark. And then Jen Abel sends a screenshot. Hi Jen, it's Sarah. It's obviously Sarah Nathan. Can you call when free? Thanks so much. And then I can't quite read the response from Jen Abel, but I can see hi, yes. Oh, I'm at a junket. I can call you when I wrap. Melissa: I just told her to stop. Jen Abel: lol. Can we chat as a group at 6:30 ET? Melissa: yes, 3:30 PT works. Jen: what does Sarah have? Lol. Melissa: on with DM. De moi. Great chat with De. Feel really good about it. Now on to my sister. Call me later if you want to vent. You are doing a really fucking hard job right now in person. Jen: you guys are so good. Please put all of that in writing for me. That would be so helpful. Melissa: I honestly think you are so good. You are way more eloquent than I am. It's harder for me to describe crisis to people. I just do it. Jen: no way. You guys are great. And it's so helpful that you're drafting it and doing the work for me and for us. He feels good about this and loves that you are killing things and have the inside scoop. Melissa: okay, good. I want to be a really good partner to you, especially. Jen: only because Justin is asking. Did you connect with Sarah? Melissa: I did. I'd rather have the conversation with you on your own, though. There isn't a huge amount, but there's a couple of little things, but not from that list. Jen: okay, I'm at dinner, so I can either try you tonight or call when I have a moment at a decent time tomorrow. Melissa: perfect, don't worry. It's not an ASAP for the second thing. Jen: okay, so I can breathe a little. Melissa: yes, breathe, please. Okay. Okay, so we have more deposition transcript from Steve Sarowitz. Starting at page 91. Question: fair enough. But I will preface my line of questions here with I'm not asking you, and I do not intend to ask you, about the content of your communications with your attorneys. So I'm trying to figure out how you communicated. When do you recall using Signal for the first time? And then he's got Ellen Garofalo, sorry. She objects, with respect to this case or any, Gottlieb, at all. Ellen, okay. Cyrus, I don't recall. All of that for I don't recall. Gottlieb, when do you recall using Signal for the first time with respect to the film It Ends With Us? Cyrus, I don't recall. Question, were you using Signal to communicate about It Ends With Us at any point in 2023? Cyrus, no. Gottlieb, were you using Signal to communicate about It Ends With Us at any point between January 1st, 2024 and August 1st, 2024? Cyrus, I don't believe so. Gottlieb, it's possible, but you don't believe so. Cyrus, I think the answer is no. Gottlieb, okay, but you're not certain. Cyrus, fairly certain the answer is no. Gottlieb's trying to pin him down. Gottlieb, okay. Now, August of 2024, did you have any Signal communications about that had anything to do with the film It Ends With Us in August of 2024? Cyrus, no. Gottlieb, when do you believe the first moment in time was that you had a Signal communication with anyone that related in any respect to the film It Ends With Us? Cyrus, I don't recall. Gottlieb, but you think it was not in August? Cyrus, correct. Gottlieb, September? Cyrus, no. Gottlieb. So if you know it wasn't during those times, what is it that you have in your mind about when you think the first moment might have been when you begin to have Signal communications about the film? Cyrus, can you be more specific? Gottlieb, I'm trying to understand what is in your head. You seem very clear that you didn't have Signal communications. I think we're up to September now. At what point in time do you recall having Signal communications that had anything to do with the film It Ends With Us? Cyrus, I don't recall the exact first time I used Signal. Gottlieb, okay. At any point in time, did you have an understanding for any of your communications relating on Signal for any of your communications on Signal that had anything to do with the film It Ends With Us? Did you have an understanding of what the retention policy? Gottlieb, Cyrus, I'm sorry. Gottlieb, yes. Cyrus, I'm sorry. Hold on for 1 second. And then Cyrus says to Ellen, are you okay, Ellen? Ellen says, ask the question again if you don't mind. Cyrus says, sorry about that. So Gottlieb says, it's okay. And then he re-asks the question, at any point in time, have you had an understanding of the retention policy on any messaging communications that you've had relating to the film It Ends With Us that had been on Signal? And then it cuts off. It's like a game of cat and mouse, verbal cat and mouse. So we have more deposition transcript. This is from Melissa Nathan, starting at page 51. Question. I'm not sure who was the lawyer in this, I can't remember. You don't know, as you sit here today, whether you sent or received a single message on Signal in August of 2024 relating to this matter. Nathan, I don't know. Question, you use Signal when you communicate with Jed Wallace, is that right? Melissa, amongst other things, yes. Question, what other things? Melissa, telephone. Question, what else? Text. Question, what else? Email. Question, what else? To the best of my knowledge, that's it. Question, voice memos? Melissa, I don't send voice memos. Question, have you received voice memos from Mr. Wallace? Melissa, yes. Question, Do any of those voice memos have an auto-delete function attached to them? Melissa, I'm not sure. Question. Do you have any understanding of what the auto-deleted function was set to on your Signal threads? What your sort of standard is that you use? Friedman objects. Okay, so Gottlieb is Lively's lawyer. Melissa Nathan. On which particular thread? You have to be more specific. Gottlieb. Well, you don't have a recollection of when you started using Signal for the Wayfarer parties, right? Melissa. No. Gottlieb. I'm just trying to ask you generally because you don't have that recollection. Melissa. Uh-huh. Gottlieb. If you know, generally speaking, if you have a typical period of time that you use for your client work when you're using a Signal thread. Melissa. I do not know. Gottlieb. How about with Mr. Friedman? You're on Signal threads with him? Melissa. I am. Gottlieb. What is the typical deletion time that you have set for your communications with him? Melissa. I'm not sure. Gottlieb. Is it more than a week? Melissa. I'm not sure. Gottlieb. Do you have a guess? Melissa. I don't have a guess. Gottlieb. But there is a deletion function set, right? Melissa. Well, it depends on which conversation you're speaking about. And that's important because she's got to make him be specific. She doesn't have to give him everything. Gottlieb. Okay. Do you use any other messaging apps other than Signal and text and email? Melissa. I do have WhatsApp on my phone, but I barely use it. Gottlieb. Did you ever use WhatsApp for anything connected to the issues in this case? Melissa. Not to my knowledge. Gottlieb. Okay. Any other messaging apps? Melissa. On this case? Gottlieb. Uh-huh. Melissa. No. Gottlieb. Do you ever use Telegram? Melissa. For this case? Gottlieb. For this case. Melissa. Not to my knowledge. And if there is something there, please let me know, because I don't really use it. And then Gottlieb. What about Proton Mail? Do you ever use? And then it cuts off. And now we have the last exhibit, which is a deposition excerpt of deposition transcript of Jennifer Abel. Starting at page 249, part of the way through a question, your belief that person could bury Miss Lively. Friedman objects. Abel says no. Gottlieb, you sure? Abel, yes. Gottlieb. Ms. Abel, yesterday you testified that in some point of August of 2017 you were added to a Signal chain. Is that right? 2017. Oh, right. Abel, sorry, what was the date? Gottlieb, at some point in, did I say 2017? And the stenographer says, yeah. Gottlieb, in August of 2024, you were added to a Signal chain with a few people. Is that right? Abel, I believe I testified that I think I was around that time frame. I don't think there was any content in that text chain. Gottlieb, okay, and who was, hold on just a second. Who was in on that text chain to the best of your recollection? Abel, I believe it was, I'd have to go back and refresh my memory. I'm just going to take a page. So that was 249. Gottlieb, okay, you're not sure as you sit here. And then it jumps to page 323. Friedman is in the middle of giving advice to, this is Jen, I said Jen Abel, didn't I? I'm just checking, sorry, yes. So Friedman is in the middle of giving advice to Jen Abel. Will invade the attorney-client privilege. So even if you were going to say yes to that, that's going to invade the attorney-client privilege. So I'm not going to instruct her. I'm going to instruct her not to answer. Gottlieb, about the simple fact of whether she knew she was required to preserve documents. Friedman. Yeah, because the simple fact is revealing the actual privileged communication. Gottlieb. Okay. And then he asks Abel, so are you going to follow your counsel's instruction? Abel. Yes, I'm going to follow my counsel's instruction. Gottlieb. Okay. Other than the signal thread that we talked about earlier in August, between August and December of 2024, can you think of any other signal thread or signal communications that you sent or received to anyone about anything? Abel. Not that I can recall. No. Gottlieb. Okay. Have you had signal communications since December of 2024? And there we go. That's all the exhibits. That last one, though, does seem to suggest that there was a signal thread between, in August, sometime between August and December. Now, up here, she also confirms that she was added to a signal chain with a few people, but also she says there was no content in there. So, although people be like, oh, but okay, so there was a signal thread back, but before 20th of December. One, they were not asked to preserve it anyway at that point, absolutely not. But also, she says here there was no content in that text chain. So, but she was just simply added to like a group chat, which it sounds like nothing was ever said in that one, for whatever reason. All right, so I will be back soon enough with the exhibits from the Jones Works opposition for their spoliation sanctions. Okay, thank you for following. Please take a moment to like the video and subscribe and hype if possible. Helps my channel out so much. Have a good weekend, and we have got tomorrow, we are going to have the hearing on the KTK subpoena that Blake Lively is inexplicably interfering in. So that should be fun. I'm expecting that to be quite a spicy meeting. Now, content creators, we can't record these hearings, and I would never do that anyway, because we're lucky that we're kind of invited to join these things and listen in, so I can take notes and kind of feedback. But to record it and stream it is a big no-no, and not one of us would like to see that privilege of joining these things taken away. So I will be doing a video after the conference call with like a summary of what was said and what the outcomes were. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening.